Busyness does not equal success. Have you ever wondered why some people work tirelessly but still don't see success, while others achieve great things without putting in much effort? The issue isn't working more or less. The issue lies in how you work. Working without a strategy is one of the biggest mistakes most of us make. You could work 12 hours a day, but if you don't have clear goals, if you don't have a specific plan, and if you're not heading in the right direction, you're just working to survive, not to grow. Success never comes just because you spend your day working. It comes when you work with purpose, when you think clearly and systematically. What you need is not time, but results. Think about it. If you spend your day running on a hamster wheel, thinking you're moving forward, but in reality you're just going in circles, what good is that? You need to stop and ask yourself, what am I really doing here? You can't keep spinning your wheels on tasks with no end in sight and hope success will come. Success is not a game of chance. It's the result of strategic thinking and purposeful action. Let me clarify. You can work hard your whole life, you can set thousands of goals, but if you don't have a strategy to accomplish them, it's all a waste. You're working hard, but without a specific direction. That's why most people work their entire lives without building something sustainable. You think you're being effective, but in reality, you're just busy without seeing results. Busyness does not equate to effectiveness. Without a clear strategy, everything you do will be a waste of energy. Busyness may make you feel valuable, but in reality, you're wasting time and effort without getting anywhere. You need to define your goals and create a system to achieve them. Only when you have a clear goal and a method to reach it will you truly succeed. Successful people aren't necessarily the hardest workers, they're the ones who think most clearly. They have systems, they have goals, and they work to achieve those goals. What you need isn't to work more, but to work right. Working efficiently doesn't mean doing everything. It means knowing what's important and focusing on that. We often get caught up in a long to-do list, thinking that doing everything is enough. But the truth is, not everything is important. Some tasks may bring no value, and you can't waste time on things that don't yield results. You must learn to prioritize what really matters and discard what doesn't. Don't get caught up in busyness. Focus on the outcomes you truly want to achieve. Success is not the result of sacrifice. You don't have to work all day to prove your worth. You need to work smart, not just hard. Working smart means having a strategy and knowing that each of your actions brings you closer to your goal. Every day you need to set a specific goal and act to achieve it. Don't work just because you feel like you have to. Work because you know that's what you need to do to move closer to your goal. It's important to have a system to achieve your goals. A system isn't something complicated, it's a clear plan, a system of actions you take every day to achieve your goals. If you don't have this system, you'll easily get caught up in unnecessary tasks and feel exhausted without achieving anything. A system helps you focus on what's important, showing you exactly what you need to do each day to move forward. You need to act with intention, not just work because of a feeling. When you act with intention, you'll see that everything you do has meaning, and you'll feel you're heading in the right direction. You don't need to work more, you just need to do the right things and complete them. Each action should have a clear outcome, and every day you need to take a step toward your goal. Results, not busyness, are the measure of success. Success comes from executing a clear plan, not from working non-stop without direction. If you continue to work without a clear goal, you'll just be a drifting boat that never reaches the shore. You can't keep running around in endless circles. You need to stop, think, and act strategically. Finally, remember that busyness doesn't mean you're moving forward. Stop and ask yourself, what am I doing to achieve specific results? When you have a clear answer, you'll see that everything will start to make sense, and you'll get closer to your goal. Success doesn't come from exhaustion, but from clarity and strategy. Don't let busyness cloud your vision of your goals. Don't keep drifting. This is a strong reminder, and I want you to understand this clearly. You cannot live a life that is blurry without direction. The world will not accept you if you work without a clear goal. You cannot keep working hard without knowing what you're doing. Without a clear thinking system, you will just keep spinning in a cycle with no way out. Ask yourself, where am I going? All successful people understand that the journey starts from a clear point, from a goal that has been set. There is no path to success if you don't know where you want to go. You need to stop and think, not about how much work you do, but about the results you're creating. Many people don't realize they are drifting. They just think they are busy. Every day, they dive into work but don't create any real value. They work to survive, not to build. And the truth is, if you don't have a clear plan, you're just wasting time with no results. You can work non-stop, work day and night, but if you don't know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it, you're just spinning around without moving forward. These people will feel exhausted, tired, and feel like they've tried their best, but nothing changes. Are you in this situation? Working without a goal is not the solution. Working without thinking is a waste. What's important is not how much you work, but whether you work with purpose. Don't work just because you feel you need to do something. Work to achieve clear results. Do you know that every minute you work without clear direction, you're wasting an opportunity to build something valuable? The world is not for those who just work for the sake of working, but for those who know what they are doing, why they are doing it, and work with clear purpose. Successful people are not the hardest workers, but those who can focus on the goal and act strategically. They don't let busyness obscure their goals. They do only what matters and always stay on course. Drifting is not only a waste of time, but also a waste of energy. You can't just work because you feel you have to. Work must have direction. It must be focused. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and energy with no results. Don't let busyness fool you. The feeling of working hard may make you think you're moving forward, but in reality, you're just drifting without clear goals and going nowhere. Don't wait until you're tired and exhausted to realize you've been going in circles. Stop right now and ask yourself, what am I really doing? You need clear goals and a system to achieve them. Without a strategy, everything you do will be a waste of time. Every action you take must have purpose. Every task must have value. If you don't have a plan, if you don't know exactly where you're headed, you're just wasting time. You can't keep drifting like this and expect results. Success comes from people who have vision and the ability to stay on a well-defined path. No amount of luck can replace working strategically, and if you keep drifting without changing, you will never achieve success. Only when you know what you're doing and move in the right direction can you create real value. A clear thinking system and strategy not only help you save time, but also focus your energy on what's most important. When you have a clear goal and a strategy to achieve it, you'll no longer feel busy without results. You'll begin to see the difference in your work and your life. Don't let the feeling of constant work deceive you. In reality, when you don't have a system, you'll keep following a routine with no specific outcome. You'll be like a car driving without knowing where you're going. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people lies in the ability to stop and think. Successful people are not swept up in everyday tasks that yield no results. They know when to stop, when to adjust, and when to continue. Successful people create their own strategies, not letting themselves be caught up in busyness. They act with a plan, not just because they feel they have to. You need to learn how to create your own system, and only then can you truly succeed. You may be on the right track, or you may be drifting without realizing it. But one thing is certain. If you don't have a clear strategy, you'll never get to where you want. If you don't stop to ask yourself, what am I doing? You'll continue in a haze. Drifting is not an accident, but the result of a lack of strategy. And if you want to escape this state, you need to change the way you think. You must stop and make a plan. You must define your goals clearly and act accordingly. Remember, you can't keep drifting forever. You can't live without a clear goal. If you don't stop and think about the path you're on, you'll never progress. Why waste time and energy on things that don't produce results? You need to build a clear strategy, define your goals, and act systematically. When you do this, you'll no longer feel like you're drifting. You'll feel like you're on the right track, and every step will bring you closer to the success you desire. Don't let busyness deceive you. Don't continue drifting without a goal. You deserve more than that. Start acting with a clear strategy, and you will see your life change in a positive direction. You need results, not fatigue. This is a truth that very few dare to face. Fatigue is not proof of success, and it certainly isn't a measure of efficiency. Fatigue only shows that you've worked hard, but it doesn't mean you've worked in the right way. Working hard doesn't always lead to good results. It only shows that you've expended energy without achieving anything valuable. You can't just look at your fatigue and feel satisfied with yourself. Fatigue may make you think you're moving forward, but if there's no result, you're just wasting time and effort. You need to change the way you look at work, not to work more, but to work smarter, with a strategy and a clear plan. What you need is not the number of hours worked, but the results you achieve from those hours. Don't let yourself get caught in the spiral of meaningless busyness. Many people spend the entire day working, but at the end of the day, they have nothing to show for it but exhaustion. They still feel like they've done a lot, but they don't see any results. That's because they're not working with a clear goal. They're working without strategy, without direction. You don't have to work to the point of exhaustion to prove your worth. You need to work strategically, with a plan, and most importantly, with clear results. Fatigue is not proof of effectiveness. When you work with the right strategy, when you have a clear plan, you won't feel tired because you're working with purpose, and you'll see results in the process. Fatigue can be a sign that you're working without direction. The feeling of exhaustion, pressure, and busyness only proves that you don't have a clear thought process. If you don't have a plan, you'll just burn through your energy without creating any value. You work not to feel tired, but to achieve specific results. And those who achieve results understand that they need to work systematically, according to a clear strategy. They don't work just to survive, they work to create something truly valuable. You can't keep living in a state of fatigue without results. That's not the life you want. If you want to achieve something truly worthwhile, you have work with purpose, work to achieve results. Stop and think, why are you working? Work is an essential part of life, but not every task brings results. The feeling of fatigue can make you think you're moving forward, but if you haven't achieved anything after giving your all, that's a sign of waste. Fatigue is not what you should aim for. Results are what you should target. You can work for hours, but if you don't have a clear strategy, you won't get anywhere. Fatigue doesn't bring value, but results make a difference. Don't let yourself be deceived by the feeling of constant work. Focus on the results. You need to learn how to work smart, not hard. Every day you can work, but what matters is what you're working towards. Working with a clear goal will help you save time, energy, and focus. You don't need to work longer, you just need to work the right way. Every task you do must have purpose, and every working hour must bring you closer to your goal. You don't have to do everything, you only need to focus on the most important tasks. The key to avoiding fatigue is knowing how to prioritize what brings results, instead of doing unnecessary things. When you start working with clear goals, when you start taking planned actions, you'll see the difference. Fatigue will no longer be a problem because you're focusing on results, not just the feeling of working. You don't have results, then fatigue is just proof that you're wasting time. Every minute you work without results, you're wasting energy without creating value. Fatigue is not something to celebrate. Results are the reward. Stop, think, and find out what your real goal is. You need to have a clear plan, act with purpose, and above all, achieve results. Don't let busyness blind you. Work is not to feel tired. Work is to achieve results. You need a strategy, a system to help you reach your goal. When you start seeing work through the lens of results instead of fatigue, you'll find life much easier. Fatigue will no longer be an issue because you're working with purpose, and you know that each step brings you closer to success. Don't just work to feel like you're doing something. Work to create results. When you achieve results, you won't feel tired. You'll feel proud of what you've done. You'll no longer